Welcome to Trials of the 10. In this series, I'm going to look at the deck list, discerns them, and then brings them to 10 ranked matches so I can grade them according to their win rate. In this very first episode, we are going to look at Face Dragon, an archetype of Dragoncraft that just revolves around storm followers to hit face, hence Face Dragon. First, we are going to look at the deck list. Our first card is Angel's Grace, a card that allows your storm followers the ability to ignore ward, which is quite prevalent in this format, most notably for Medea and the Ward Havencraft. Our next card is Hammer Dragon Newt, which has been recently buffed and now is just a very good card overall, with the Draconic Smash being 0 play points, adding a Draconic weapon which you can use to buff your Forte later on, which is one of your Stormwind gun. Our next card is Ardent Torch. This deck is very sucks regarding their draw. And so we are going to play Ardent Torch since we are also going to play another Disdain card. So we can gain a huge amount of draw from this single card alone. Or it's just another insight that deals damage to your follower. And our next card is Metatron. This card needs no introduction. Next we have Masamune One-Eyed Dragon. This card is our Rowan replacement, which is not exactly the best thing, but considering that we are printed a very good ramp card this expansion, we can reach that 10 play point orb while also just hitting face, which is a very good thing, so we are going to play 2 of them. Our next card is 3 copies of Dragon Oracle. This card needs no introduction, it's the dragon card. Our next card is the one-off Flame Lizard Spread. This card just deals a pool of damage divided between all enemy forwards according to your total play point orbs. This card is your early removal against certain decks such as probably Evolve Blood with their Mini Soul Devil that you can't really clear outside of clear cards. And then the entirety of Sword that if you meet them. And then our next card is a one of Batkata, Shrine Goddess. This card will be a very good card going second, but since you're not always going second most of the time, or probably less of the time regarding on your luck, you are only playing one of. Although you could play more than one, I can see it, but I really like one, so I just play one. Our next card is 3 Angels Blessing. This card draws 2, and if you're going second on turn 4, this card costs 1 play points. So if you're, say, use Dragon Oracle on turn 2, then on your turn 4, you can just triple Angel's Blessing and then play Metatron to gain, like, draw 6, heal 6, and then ramp, which is amazing. So you should play it. And then our next card is 3 copies of Silong Draconic God Queen. Now this card is your ramp card, obviously it's just a ramp card that you just play. And then 3 copies of Brutal Dragonaut. This card just costs 2 play points when you are on overflow, and has a pretty strong evolve effect while also having Storm on top of that. So we are playing it. This is Face Dragon. We play all the Storm cards. Well, the good Storm cards. And then our next card are 2 copies of Lethal Dragon Scyther. Now why are we playing this? Because we are playing Masamune One-Eyed Dragon, which makes Lethal Dragon Scyther basically being a 4 play points, clear 2, and then deal 4. Whether you trade or whether you hit face, Dragon Scyther will always deal her damage, which is 2. If you have Masamune, of course, so just draw both, I guess. Our next card is Galmeo Ardent Disdain. This card is crazy. On Funfair, it puts a disdainful rending on your hand. Then if you have 10 play point orbs, which is really doable, I mean, well, as doable as draw Oracle on 2, it will put a Fangs of Ardent Destruction into your hand, with also an evolve effect that once each turn, Whenever an allied follower takes damage if it's not destroyed, put a Fangs of Ardent Destruction. What Fangs of Ardent Destruction do? It's a 0 play points, give 1 attack to an allied follower. Then if your selected follower is Galmir Ardent Disdain, give it Storm, and deal 2 damage to all enemy followers, which also acts as a board clear of some sort. Then, our next card is the newest ramp in the deck. The newest ramp in the deck, which is Captain Drakewood. I don't know, I just call it Drakewood. Captain Drakewood, which is a 5 play point, 3/3 with the fanfare, gain an empty play point orb, or just ramp. So we're playing 3 of it. And on hand 7, it summons a Windless Dragon, which simply is a 5/5 with Storm. And on evolve, summon a Hellflame Dragon, but if you have 10 play point orb, summon a Windless Dragon instead, which if you have 10 play points, which means that it's a 7 play points, 10 damage card by itself. Well, if you have evolve points. And then our next card is Forte Darkwing Ruler. I mean, it's Forte. She has Storm, and she gains an effect whenever you buff her 3 times, which is why we are playing Hammer Dragonute and Galmiox, although Galmiox is just a very good card overall. But we are also playing Forte because she's one of the better Storm cards you have. She's not exactly the best, but she does the job good. Next, Ignis Dragon. Most of the time you're going to just accelerate Ignis Dragon as a ramp card. But if you just draw kind of bad, where you just don't draw your Ardent Torch or Angel's Blessing, I guess you can just use the fanfare effect of Ignis Dragon. Although if you do that, you're most likely just going to lose. I don't know. And then our next card is one of Augite Worm. It's just a draw 2, and then discard a useless card in your hand. Most of the time it probably is something like the arm cards from Hammer Dragonute. But I like it as one of. If you want to play another draw card, sure, you can play another, or you can just play another card in its place. It's not exactly mandatory, but you can just play whatever you want in this place. And that's our deck list. So let's jump into the games. Our first match is against Forestcraft, more specifically the Fairy Forestcraft. So at first we're going to move both this Dragon Scyther and then also this Zilong, because we are going first, and then we get Simpler Dragon Oracle, just the best game ever. First, we're going to pass because we don't have a 1 play point card in hand, and our opponent is also going to pass. Next, we are going to activate Dragon Oracle, gaining an empty plane point orb, and then pass back to our opponent. And then, they are also passing. Amazing, we are going to win this game easily probably. We have the best hand and they probably have the worst hand ever. On their turn 3, they are going to play Miracle Harvest, which means that they are breaking, and then they play Phantom Predator in order to push for base damage. Which is understandable, but that's not really the best thing you can do. Next, we are going to play Metatron instead of Captain Drakewood because we are going to save this Captain Drakewood for turn 7 so we can evolve it, gain empty play point orb, while also going to for face damage. Here they play Blessed Fairy in order to deal to our Metatron. They bounce it and then they proceed to play it again to clear our Metatron. Might not exactly the best play they can do, but it clears Metatron and they don't have no abilities, I suppose. And they have Whirlwind Assault. I don't know if that card is good or not in the deck, but oh, we're actually going to just play Galmiox Ardent Disdain. So we have Galmiox getting her leader effect, and then we play Distant Rending to just, well, push for face damage. Threatening little here. Well, our hands doesn't look like that could threaten little, but you know, we can push for more damage. And then we pass back to our opponent, and they're going to play at last their Nobilis Sablelily Queen, which gives their fairies massive effects. And then they evoke the Nobilis, giving our Galmio -1/-1, and then we convert to play points to play all the pairs in their hand, which is fine. We don't really care about them. Our health is still on the 18, so we're still in the lead. And now it's our turn. We're going to play Captain Ridgewood to push for more face damage by having Windless Dragon, while also collecting support by evolving Ridgewood. Ridgewood will give us Health Flame Dragon, so we'll start clearing the board, and Windless Dragon could just try to lead it. And that Fangs of Ardent Disdain are going to be safe, so we can use it with Forte, so we regain our play points immediately. They trade the fairies into a Health Flame Dragon and play their Tamlin to clear the board. Another Tamlin to clear the board, in fact. But, well, they doesn't have ward, so we're just going to play our storms and end this game. There's the Fast Fortune Destruction, and there's also the Masamune. You know, just making sure that you are having your time. And that's the conceit. So, that's what happens when everything goes right. Now we're going what happens when things go wrong. Our next match is against Havencraft. Havencraft got a new deck this expansion, which is the OTK Haven deck, which uses both cards from Ward Haven and Amulet Haven to make this one degenerate storm deck that just deals damage out of nowhere. So we open Ignis Dragon, but our other cards are kind of mid, so we're just going to mull them away, and we get Hammer Dragonoid, but we doesn't get Oracle. So we go first, so we're going to play that Hammer Dragonoid immediately because we need to contest board sometimes, and Hammer Dragonoid is just so good at doing that. Our opponent plays Emerald Maiden, which is a very good cards that they haven't get. We're going to hit face with Hammer Dragonoid and pass back to our opponent. They play Agent of the Gods, drawing a card and then pass back to us. This is what Amulet Haven do. They just keep passing and passing until they just hit out of nowhere. We're going to accelerate Ignis Dragon, gaining an empty play point orb, and then hit face again and passing back to our opponent. Our opponent then plays Skullfang the Defiled. This is one of the things that that is one of the key pieces of this deck to OTK. They play it again, and then already have two counters on Skullfang. They play and then the Crystal's Holy Lightning Bird. This card is amazing. I don't believe that they actually print this for Amulet Haven. And then we're going to pass back to our opponent with all of our play points because there's nothing we really can do except for we just playing Storm to chip damage, which isn't exactly ideal because they can't heal, and we don't want that. So we're just going to pass back, and they're just going to play some Amulet stuff and then pass back to us. Here we're going to play Draconic Smash and then play the Draconic weapon so we can play Forte and then just go hit face. Which is honestly, I don't know why I did that because it doesn't really matter. I should have just saved the Draconic Armor or the Hammer Smash, whatever the hell it's called. They're just going to Agent of the Gods, crystallize it, drawing a card, play Hierophant's Implements, and then reducing the cost of Agent of the Gods so they can use Skullfang on it, immediately destroying our Forte. And they're just going to crystallize Muse Jester and then again pass back to us. So our draw isn't exactly the best, which is Masamune, so we're just going to play Zilong Draconic God Queen and pre-evolve her with her spell. We're also playing the Angel's Blessing to draw 2, evolve our Zilong, and then, well, there's the Oracle, but it's kind of way too late, so yeah, this is going to be a hard one, and they would OTK us in any moment. And then our opponent plays Priest of Horus, which becomes one countdown immediately, and then plays Skullfang to just deal a lot of damage. I don't believe this actually happens, but they indeed deals a lot of damage. So they move the Muse Jester and then start to hit face, while also having their board buffed by this Bejeweled Shrine. And they pass back to us, but we don't really have many things to do, so we're just going to try our best to clear this board. First we activate. We summon Galmio, activate her 10 cost effect, and then evolve her so we get her leader effect. Activate Artifacts of Art and Destruction on her, clearing the board, and do it again so the board is actually cleared this time. And then we're going to play Masamune to clear the last remaining follower in their board, and then hits face with Galmir with only 6 more health and no ward. So yeah, we're going to die here. They play this Holy Lightning Bird. It also has Storm on their body, so yeah, this card is actually pretty goddamn OP. And then they deal enough damage to defeat us. So that's Face Dragon. Now, the pros and cons and the win rate. The pros is this deck doesn't have to play the shitty armed cards, I must say. Like, the gold dragon card is pretty good, the other gold dragon card, but I think both Lens Lizard and Leviathan Dragon is just doesn't really cut it for arm to work, while Control Dragon is just boring. And the cons, this deck, like most of dragon decks, period, relies on having their Oracle on turn 2. If you don't do that, you're going to have a really hard time, and if you do that, it doesn't really guarantee that you win. Because sometimes you just also don't draw your payoff. So it's either you draw your ramps, no payoffs, you draw your payoffs, no ramps, and so on and so forth. And the win rate for this deck is I play 10 matches and I win 6 times, which is in a 6 win streak, by the way, pretty amazing. And then I lost 4 times. So it has a 60% win rate for me, but it's not really about this deck being consistent and it's more like how consistent you are at drawing Oracle, like most dragon decks. So I think this deck is very good, but I don't think it's really enough to go to tier 1. Probably could stay in tier 2, but I don't really think so. I don't really think so either. That's all from me, Natsukumo, and see you next time.